Hi, I'm Kat Allman with Google's open source team. I'm here today with one of my favorite colleagues, Jeremy Alison of the Samba project, to tell you all about Samba. Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Kat.
So, starting in general terms, elevator speech, what is Samba?
So Samba is a file, print, and authentication server. And that sounds incredibly boring, because it is. It's basically part of the glue that allows computers to connect to each other. Unlike the internet, it's an older technology that's designed for local file sharing. So, you know, rather than being somewhere and connecting to your Wi-Fi and wondering where a printer is, with the SMB technology that Samba implements, which is commonly used by Windows clients, you browse your local network and you would print or get access to local resources. So it's the technology used behind Microsoft's Active Directory, if that helps.
You mentioned Windows, and I always thought Samba was all about making Windows resources available to everybody else and vice versa.
So it's about making Linux and Unix machines export resources to Windows clients. But these days, SMB is actually being quite widely adopted by both Linux and Mac, less so by Android, although there are many apps that will talk SMB. So it's less of a Windows-only technology, and there are people actually who use SMB going between Unix to Unix, which is very strange from where it started. But
yes, it is.
Yeah. How
many people are touched by Samba? I mean, is this something that only developers use, or is it under the hood?
I like to refer to it as plumbing, which is nice because it means I'm the equivalent of a plumber with a plunger, removing blockages. So it's the technology that's used behind many network-attached storage devices. So, as I like to joke, if you go into Fry's or any other electronics store and you buy a disk that's advertised as network-attached storage, something that you would be able to connect to over your wireless LAN or over your wired LAN, that stores your music, media, and whatever, I like to say if it costs under $10,000, it's got Samba inside it. So it's actually used in a great number of products.
Roku, set-top boxes, things like that?
Some set-top boxes, but they mainly use the client piece because the set-top boxes want to access the resources, and the client piece is actually built into Linux, which is commonly used for those boxes. Samba itself, the project, is more of the server-side piece, which is what runs on the network-attached storage that exports to the clients. So it's more like Netgear, Western Digital, many of the network-attached storage. I'm blanking on a lot of their names right now.
That's okay.
It's also started to be used in as what's called cloud gateway storage. So people who want to get access to resources stored in the cloud, but they want to use local applications that think they're talking to a local file, but are actually talking to cloud storage. What quite a few companies are doing now is using Samba as a gateway. So they have a device that they will sell you that actually pretends to be a local file server, but is actually accessing resources that exist out in the internet cloud.
So when did Samba start? How did you come up with this?
It wasn't just me. It was actually originally created by myself and a friend of mine, Andrew Tridgell, in Australia. And it's actually older than the Linux kernel, or around the same age. So it's a very old established project. It's about 21 years old. And essentially he was a PhD student who was trying to find something else to do rather than these studies and writing his thesis. And I was actually working for a company that needed to share files between Windows and Unix machines, and was completely fed up with the only thing that was being sold at the time, which was PCNFS, which was horrible. So essentially we banded together and started to develop something better that talked the Windows protocols. And it attracted more developers and has grown from there, really.
How many developers are, generally speaking, contributing to the project?
Well, it varies. We have a lot of alumni people who've come through worked on the project and gone on to better and brighter things. Many of them actually work at Google, and you know that we have people like myself who stayed working on the project for its entire lifetime, and also Volker Lendecker, who's has a German company that supports Samba, and I would say there are probably about 10 to 15 active developers, so it's actually quite a small project. There are many other peripheral developers, people doing testing, people doing QA, people who come in to fix a specific bug that's really bugging them and then go away again because they've got the fix in that they need.
And Samba's your full-time job here at Google?
80%. So most Googlers have 20% time. I have 80% time, but 20% of the time I'm doing things for you.
Nice,
you know,
nice. Okay. Are you
appearing on these interviews, this kind of thing.
Oh, I understand you just released a new version, what, 3 weeks ago?
Actually, the big new version came out about a year or so ago, and that was Samba 4. Okay. We release versions fairly regularly, so you know, a new release isn't unless it's a major release. You know, it's mainly bug fixes of interest to people who are following the project and need specific things fixed. But the big new release we did, which was Samba 4, was our first implementation of an Active Directory domain controller. So for the first time, you can actually have Windows clients talking to and cooperating with a domain controller, an Active Directory domain controller, full Active Directory, that is not made by Microsoft. And it will interoperate with Microsoft Active Directory domain controllers. And in fact, Microsoft have worked with us and actually fixed some bugs on the Windows client side to make this work for us. So I'm very happy about that.
Fantastic.
That's a really cool new thing.
All right, great. Are you looking for new contributors to the project?
Always.
All right, good.
As with most open source projects, we're desperate. We could always do with more contributors. So the kind of things that we need are, well, Samba is written in C, so it's a kind of an old project. So if you really want to do sort of down and dirty, very hard technical work, Samba's the place to do it. There's a lot of very hard, very technical work that needs doing, lots of bugs that need fixing. You can learn about very many core technologies by working on Samba. Security technologies, file sharing technologies, how to do encryption, all these kind of things. But we also need people who can help document it, because like most open source projects, it's terribly documented. I think we have a record for the longest man page. I think something like 300 or 500 pages, all of which are configuration options, many of which are confusing. And so what would really help is people who could actually help write, people who can write, people who can help technical writers essentially. And also people who can do QA, quality assurance. There's just and also people who can help market it, people who can help explain how it works, write up scenarios. We have a wiki that describes how it's used and how it can be used. It's so big and it's so flexible, it's hard to describe in a short time. But the great reason for doing so is that I get pinged regularly by companies looking for engineers who have Samba experience.
Really? Wow.
So if you're looking for a job and you're in the technical industry, working on Samba is a very, very good way to get one. So
wow. Okay, so where do people go?
So samba.org is our main website, and everything is under there. There's the wiki, there's the Git repository, there's all the mailing lists. To get started, I would recommend joining the Samba mailing list, and that's mainly for users of Samba. If you want to get a little more technical, we have a Samba technical mailing list, and then we have a Samba-technical and Samba IRC channel on freenode.net, which is the main open source IRC server. So.
Anything else you'd want to tell people about the project? I assume it's fun, or you wouldn't have spent a long time doing this.
It's amazingly fun. The thing about it is it keeps changing, and this is why I still work on it. This is why I still find it fun and interesting. You can work on simple things as you know, parsing configuration files, you know, very, very simple bug fixes, all the way up to research level projects that are funded by IBM to do with distributed clustered file storage technologies and synchronizing file systems between many hundreds of machines. And it's all there in the code. And it's, you know, I won't say it's available in small bite-sized chunks, but everything is there. This is the wonderful thing, and the wonderful thing about most open source is that by working on this stuff, you can see code that is used in the real world. You're not, if you're a student and you're looking at this stuff, you're not working on toy projects. You're not working on tiny things that, you know, your professors have assigned, you know, to solve trivial problems. You're working on real problems that real engineers are using in real world solutions. You're actually seeing the code, the glue that holds the world together. And it's the real thing. You can make a difference, you can actually contribute and change it yourself. And that's just intoxicating. That's kind of how I got started. It's like, I send the patches over here and they turn up. And the product, it's amazing. You know, you can actually change the world with this stuff.
I'm totally stealing that line about this is the glue that holds the world together.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's absolutely compelling. If you're an engineer or if you're interested in technical things, I can't imagine anything more fun to do.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jeremy.
Oh, thank you, Kat.
Thank you, all of you, for joining us. Urge you to go to samba.org and check it out. And if it ignites even a tiny fraction of the passion that Jeremy has for Samba, I'd encourage you to consider becoming a contributor.
Thank you very much.
Bye.